And hello, this is Ralph back again with another stream. Last spiritual stream that we did, we were talking about why to meditate. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is how to get started in meditation. And there are several different meditation styles and techniques that you can use, but really the easiest is just, breath meditation. You really don't need anything else besides a nice, comfortable place to sit, a nice, quiet place to sit, and just the ability to breathe and pay attention to your breath. You don't need any gimmicks. You don't need any phone apps. You don't need, any other resources. You don't really even need a prescription from your doctor. But all you have to do is just sit down and do it. And what I've noticed with simple breath meditation is that it has a positive effect that even medical science is now has been recognizing for a number of years now. I noticed this with my dad. My dad was never one to sit and meditate. He was always active, always out doing things. And later in his life, he came down with congestive heart failure. And he had significant breathing problems that began to manifest as a result of that congestive heart failure. And we were taking him into the doctors. They were trying to see if they could hook him up with like an oxygen tank. And Dad didn't really want to use an oxygen tank in public because he was very self-conscious about that sort of thing. And so they're working with him. Okay, this is how you can make sure that you're getting the oxygen that you need without the oxygen tank. And they were teaching him how to just sit there, close his eyes, breathe in deeply, preferably through his nose, hold the breath, and then exhale completely. And they were guiding Dad through this practice a few times. And I was sitting there smiling. And then I said to the nurse that was teaching Dad how to do this technique, I said to that nurse, "Oh, so you guys teach meditation?" And she looked at me like, "What?" And I said, what you're teaching, that's what we call breath meditation. And she said, "Well, I don't know about meditation, but this is just what we do because we teach people to do this because it's great to oxygenate the blood. Just breathe in deeply and then breathe out completely and repeat the process. And it's a good way to get oxygen, into the lungs and into the blood because as we age, a lot of times we forget to breathe in deeply. We tend to become very shallow breathers. And then later on in life, that can manifest in a lot of different health issues, like, OCD. I mean, not OCD, what do they call it? Well, breathing difficulties and congestive heart failure and other things that can be linked to just, not getting the exercise that you need and not breathing in deeply. And so that really made an impression on me because here it is, a very simple technique, but even doctors are now recommending this as a way to get oxygen into your blood. And you take that simple practice of just breathing in deeply, holding the breath momentarily, and then breathing out completely, and you add awareness to the mixture. And what you have is simple breath meditation, where you breathe in deeply, you pay attention to the breath as you are inhaling. You breathe in preferably through your nose. If you can't breathe in through your nose, you can breathe in through your mouth. But the main thing is you breathe in deeply, and while you're doing it, you are aware that you are breathing in deeply. And then you hold the breath. And then you breathe out completely. Again, emptying your lungs as fully and completely as you can. And then, lather, rinse, repeat. You just do it all over again. And the trick is, even just breathing in deeply and breathing out deeply can have positive, medical benefits that even modern day doctors that like to prescribe pills and techniques and drugs, they recognize the effectiveness of this simple breathing technique. Now, we're not trying to diagnose any medical conditions. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an Indian chief. I'm just some guy that likes to talk about spiritual things online. But I mean, the benefits to this are there for those that would care to practice and just work with the technique. And yeah, if we just breathe in deeply and focus our awareness on the breath, we can find that after doing this, breathing in, focusing on the breath, breathing out, focusing on the breath, that we can take a troubled mind, we can be in an agitated state, but after a few deep breaths and paying attention to the breath, we begin to calm down. We begin to kind of work with it and flow with it and simply be in the present moment. And breath meditation, sometimes also called mindfulness meditation, because it is a form of mindfulness meditation, but it is such an easy form of meditation to practice that practically anybody can do it. Now, a lot of people tend to get kind of bent out of shape a little bit about how long they should practice meditation. Some people like to say, I can't sit still for any length of time. And I've known people like this. I've been related to people like this. They are not contemplatives. They are not meditators. They just like to be out there doing things. And for them, breath meditation can be a chore. But if you can just sit and do it for as little as 5 minutes, you can notice that it has some positive effects. We have a saying in English and elsewhere in the world that if you find yourself to be extremely mad, before you say anything that you might regret, before you do something that you might wish you could undo, take a few moments, just close your eyes, breathe in deeply, breathe out deeply, count to 10, and then ask yourself, do I really want to yell and scream? Do I really want to take out a gun and shoot somebody? Being kind of, a little bit of hyperbole there, but I think you get the idea. Do I really want to smack somebody around? Or after breathing in and out deeply and taking a 10-second break, do I feel changed? Do I feel better? Do I feel more positive about myself, about my life, and about my role in life? And people have found that simple technique, just take a deep breath and count to 10, to be beneficial enough where I think it's solved a few screaming matches before they started, probably solved, a few, fisticuff matches before they even had a chance to start, because someone was mindful enough to be aware that they're feeling a certain way. And if they did some very foolishly simple spiritual technique, they might be able to alter their state of mind and create a better life for themselves in the here and now, in the present moment. So my advice would be concerning the length of time that you should spend in breath meditation, don't get worried about it. If all you can do is 5 minutes, that can be good enough. I mean, when you're mad, when we're really agitated, taking a deep breath and counting to 10, just that simple practice alone can have some positive spiritual benefits. And if you're able to sit and just breathe in deeply and breathe out deeply, and do that for just 2 or 3 minutes or even 5 minutes. If that's your limit, that can be good enough. It's a perfect starting place. Other people like to do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of people. Other folks notice that if you do breath meditation or any other form of meditation for like 30 minutes at a time, 30 minutes to 60 minutes, that is the spot where you start feeling some very profound spiritual benefits. That's where a lot of the deeper insights begin to manifest, where 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes will be enough to get you calmed down, to get you relaxed, to help get you focused, away from your problems and onto your breath, onto something a little bit more positive and beneficial. But a lot of practitioners have noticed, myself included, that if you focus on meditation for like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and just leave it at that, that's where you start to feel a lot of positive spiritual benefits. A lot of deeper insights can manifest. A lot of neat spiritual things can begin to come about in your life as well. But how long you meditate, totally up to you. It depends on your why. If you're meditating because you want to connect more consciously with the God of your understanding, then 20 to 30 minutes might be a good place to start. 60 minutes might be, your long-term goal to get to. But if you're the kind of person where sitting still for any length of time is going to be a major chore, don't let that be a roadblock. The best you can do is 2 minutes. Focus on 2 minutes and get up, you're out of there. Go out and get busy, be active, go run around the block a few times, whatever you like to do. I know a guy who was my spiritual advisor for a while. He was a comrade in ministry. He's passed now. But he used to say, we used to talk about meditation, and I was big in the contemplative side of things and big in the meditative practice. And he would say, Ralph, I'm not a meditator, but what I do instead of meditating, I build, I create. He was an artist. He was a carpenter. He would like to mess around with stonework and digging and building cabins. And he had a retreat center where a lot of the cabins that were there were cabins that he had built with his own two hands. And he did a lot of the digging by hand. He told me once he was building an altar for their main retreat area. And he was crawling inside that altar. The base of it was made out of wood. He was attaching a stone top to that altar. And he got inside that altar, kind of working on it, building it. And he became aware that he was inside that which he was trying to create, that which he was creating. And it's like, yeah, as an artist, as a carpenter, as a builder, he could get right inside what he was creating and really feel at one with the creative process. And really, you think about it, that's not sitting meditation, that's not breath meditation, but that is another form of meditation in and of itself, where you get so wrapped up in the creative process, you become at one with the process of creation, and you just become aware that you are at one with whatever it is that you are building or doing. You are joined with that in the present moment. You're not just doing something to get it over with. You're getting into doing something because you love doing it, and it becomes a part of you, and you become a part of it. And there is that bonding that takes place. So yeah, for folks that can't sit still for even 2 or 3 minutes, there are other forms of meditation which we'll talk about in future streams. But yeah, there's really a form of meditation for everybody. But if you want to start with breath meditation, and to me, that's the simplest form, all you have to do is find a quiet place and where you're not likely to be disturbed. And just set a time limit. Like, my alarm clock just went off. I forgot something. I've got to go off and do something in a little bit. I'm going to finish the stream first. But, I like to set a nice, gentle alarm. And you can do that in your meditation practice. You can take out your smartphone and you can find an alarm, not one that goes like, bzz, 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 not something that's going to shock you out of the meditative state, but find something like birds chirping, or a good morning type of an alarm, or a Zen type of alarm, something that's just going to lull you out of the meditative state when it rings, rather than just jolt you out of the experience. But yeah, find a place where you're going to be left alone for however long it is, and then, yeah, set a gentle alarm. Or, you can play a piece of music that runs for a certain length of time and let that be your guide. But first, just focus on finding the place and sit comfortable in that place. Some place you're not going to be disturbed for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, however long it's going to be, and then just sit down. And don't worry about sitting in a lotus position, or a full lotus position, or a half lotus. When I was in high school and college, I could fold my legs up like a pretzel and get into the full lotus position, and I thought I looked pretty cool doing that. Now, I've gotten out of doing that. I just sit comfortably in a chair. And what I say anymore is, don't worry about any particular position. As long as you are seated in a comfortable position where you can just sit still for the desired length of time, that is good enough. Just take that posture and go with it. And then just close your eyes. And then just breathe in deeply. Breathe in deeply through your nose. When we breathe in deeply through our nose, we tend to clear our sinuses. We tend to unblock our sinuses. A lot of people tend to be mouth breathers. And what we do is, when we're breathing in and out through our mouths, a lot of times our nostrils, our sinuses can get plugged up. And so if you're trying to breathe in through your nose and you haven't done that for maybe your entire life, your first few attempts at breathing in through your nose might be a challenge in and of itself. And of course, if you've got a cold, if you've got the flu, if you got hay fever, breathing in and out through your nose can be messy. So you may want to breathe in and out through your mouth. But what I've noticed is that when we breathe in through our nose, breathe in deeply, bring in that good air, you bring in the oxygen, can get to your lungs more effectively. And then when you breathe out completely. You're clearing your sinuses of all that junk that tends to get built up in our sinuses. Before I started breath meditation, I was a mouth breather, and I had a lot of problems with sinus congestion, sinus infection, a lot of sinus problems. And I had to work at breathing in and out through my nose. I had to get in there with a Kleenex and, unclog one nostril and then unclog the next nostril. And what I noticed, though, is after I started breathing in and out through my nose, I no longer had that problem with my sinuses getting, blocked up, plugged up. And I began to notice that I didn't have sinus infections anymore. I really haven't had a sinus infection since, I started breath meditation, breathing in and out through my nose. So I still get hay fever, yeah, but I don't really get that sinus headache and sinus congestion that I used to get. And I would get that, all the time practically. But, now since I've been breathing in and out through my nose, seems to have cleared itself up. So again, not medical advice, but just sharing some of my experiences. But yeah, there is a benefit to breathing in through your nose. But if for some reason you can't, breathing in and out of your mouth is perfectly okay too. But the main thing is breathing in deeply, becoming aware of the breath, holding the breath, and then exhaling completely. Get all that carbon dioxide out of your lungs, get all that nasty stuff out of your lungs, all that nasty stuff in your sinuses out of your sinuses. Just exhale completely, and then lather, rinse, repeat. And the trick is, breathing in deeply, breathing out deeply, and adding awareness to the mixture, to where when you're breathing in, you know that you are breathing in. And your mind is focused on the breath. Your mind isn't traveling to the things that your neighbor did to you last week, or the things that some family member did to you 2 years ago, or other things, or worries of the office, or what your boss said to you just the day before. No, let your focus be on the breath. And after you get good at doing this, you'll notice that you can calm yourself down almost at will just by choosing to sit, focusing on the breath, breathing in deeply and out deeply, and just focusing on that breath. And if you're stressed, if you're worried about something, this simple form of meditation can give you the grace that you need to have a peaceful 2 or 3 minutes. If that's the best you can muster, then that's a good place to start. Once you get really good at it, you can get a peaceful, very serene 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes, you can lull yourself into a sweet hour of prayer. A nice old hymn there. I like to think of a sweet hour of meditation. It's a gift that you can give yourself to where you can walk away from the noise and the confusion in the outer world. Just focus on your inner breath and be at peace with the process of just being and the simple process of breathing. And just breathe in deeply, hold, breathe out deeply, and just flow with it. Just go with it. And so, you don't have to focus on doing anything outstanding. Don't have to focus on doing it for an hour. I like to do it for an hour, but sometimes I don't have time. Sometimes, the phone rings. Sometimes I got to go do something. So, 20 minutes can be enough. 5 minutes can be enough. Just find a time that works for you. Find a place that works for you. I've heard of busy executives that wanted to practice meditation in a busy office setting. And what one executive did, he told his secretary, that closet that we hardly ever use, the one that we just stack boxes in, I want you to take all those boxes out of that closet, stack those boxes in that corner over there, and then put a chair in that closet. And when you're done with that, let me know. And so the secretary did. She cleaned out all the boxes of files that were in that closet, and then she put a simple chair in that closet, and she told her boss, "Okay, I've got it done. Now what do you want me to do?" He said, "Just sit by the phone, hold all my calls for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to be sitting in that closet." And he did. He went into that closet, closed the door, told his secretary after 20 minutes, give me a knock and let me know that my 20 minutes are up. And that became his oasis. That became his place in a busy, hectic world where he could just go into his closet, literally, close the door, be at peace, and just focus on his breathing, focus on the breath. And a lot of people, you get an hour for lunch. Sometimes you only get a half hour for lunch, but we all get some sort of a lunch break. You can choose to go out and eat lunch and then do nothing besides that. Or you can incorporate a meditation practice into your lunch hour. If you get an hour for lunch, like I used to when I was working and for somebody else, then yeah, you can go into a closet or find a nice quiet place, go out to your car, meditate for 20 minutes, then take the remainder of your lunch hour and do lunch. Or, you can meditate instead of lunch. It's just totally up to you. But, wherever you need to find an oasis of sanity in our busy, hectic modern day world, you can be creative. You can carve out a little meditation hall for yourself. You don't need to go to a big, church or a big Buddhist meditation center or practice center. You can create your own space, create your own holy space, sacred space, and just use that for your meditation practice. And then as often as you need it, go into that sacred space, meditate for the desired length of time, and then see if it doesn't change your attitude. One monk that I follow, Ajahn Brahm from the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, told a very funny story about a couple that had children. They were members of his congregation. And one day, they usually practice meditation. And one day, things around the house were just so hectic, they didn't feel they had the time to go meditate. And their little girl, begged her mother. She said, "Mommy, please go to meditation." And she looked at the child and said, "Why? Why do you want me to go to my meditation practice?" And the little girl just said very honestly, "Because you're such a nice mommy when you meditate, and you tend to be not so nice when you don't meditate." Even a child could see the difference in the parent when the parent was practicing meditation. So what the parents did, they decided, you know what? Out of the mouths of babes come wisdom. We're going to set aside this insanity for just a little bit of time. We're going to go down to the meditation center. We're going to practice meditation, and then hopefully with a much better attitude, come back home and deal with our problems more effectively. And that's what I find in my practice. That's what I find happening. Now, if I take the time to meditate, it's not like robbing myself of a half hour of valuable time. It's like I'm giving myself a half hour or an hour of peace and serenity, and then it gives me an energy that I can put into the rest of my day to make the rest of my day far more effective. And I end up getting more done in less time through meditation than I would if I would just skip meditation and just go out there and just, gut my way through everything. If I take the time to focus and get my focus, my clarity, my peace of mind back through the practice of meditation, makes my day much more enjoyable, makes Ralph a much happier Ralph, and it makes me a lot more effective in my other day-to-day activities. So yeah, that's really a little bit more on why you might want to practice meditation and how. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't think you have to, go into a chapel. If you got one available, that's good, yeah. But if all you got is a closet, a little closet where you can clear out just one section, put a chair in there, sit down in that chair, close the closet door. That's how Jesus taught his disciples to pray. When you pray, don't go out into the busy street and pray and make a show of it. No, go into your closet where no one can see. Close the door where you can be at peace. And your heavenly Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly. And I think that's a beautiful scripture. But yeah, to me, that speaks volumes about meditation. We focus on meditation, we do it, we set the time to do it, and however long it takes, once you've done it, you're going to feel better. And it's just so easy to do. Just breathe in, breathe out, and add awareness to the breath. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And then later, as you become more aware of the breath, you can become more aware of the feeling that you feel when you exhale. You can feel the breath on your upper lip, or you can feel it in your nose, or you can feel it in your mouth. And after you've been doing it for a while, after you become one with your breath, then you'll start to notice a few other things too. You can notice that you can calm down at will. You don't have to be a basket case all the time. You don't have to fly into a rage over simple things. And if you do, like I think we all do from time to time, you know how to take that rage feeling and shut it down. And that's a valuable thing to know. You know how to take the buttons that other people like to try to push. You know how to unwire those buttons, become master of your own emotions, master of your own feelings, and just raise your own level of spiritual and emotional intelligence. Yeah. So don't overcomplicate it. Just sit down and do it, and just set your own time limit, whatever works for you. So that's it for now. Let me know in the comments down below if you practice meditation, why you practice meditation, and how it works for you. And we'll catch you in future live streams. Take care. Bye-bye.